Very good afternoon and many thanks for joining us at this time. You're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The top stories. Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun withdraw officers attached to and battered former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Federal government inaugurates compensation verification committee to evaluate and compensate landowners affected by the construction of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, says the reforms President Bola Tinubu embarked upon since assumption of office have started manifesting in the resurgence of the nation's economy. Details coming up shortly. Right, welcome back. I am Omoife Peace of Semer. The federal government has placed immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, on its watch list to prevent him from escaping from the country. The Nigerian Immigration Service, in a circular dated April the 18th, 2024, and signed by the Assistant Comptroller of Immigration, D.S. Umar, for the Comptroller General, Kemi Nandap, alerted the police and the Department of State Services to effect the former governor's arrest. According to media report, this came hours after the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, declared Bello wanted in connection to an alleged case of money laundering to the tune of 80.2 billion naira. The EFCC declared Bello wanted on its official Facebook page after failed attempts to arrest him on Wednesday in Abuja. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun has withdrawn all police officers attached to the embattled former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The order for the withdrawal was reportedly contained in a police wireless message on Friday. Now let's move on to other matters, where the federal government has inaugurated a compensation verification committee saddled with the responsibility of reviewing, evaluating and compensating landowners affected by the construction of the 15 trillion naira Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Minister of Works David Umahi, who inaugurated the panel, also directed the committee to complete all verification and begin remuneration in 10 days, ending April 28. Umahi said the gesture was in line with the renewed hope agenda of the administration of President Bola Tinubu, which is transparency. According to media reports, Umahi said verified claims would be settled within 72 hours by the contractor High Tech Construction Limited, but remained silent on the total amount approved for the exercise. The 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project has been a subject of public scrutiny following concerns by affected stakeholders and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar over the cost, bidding and procurement processes. The road, designed to connect Lagos to Cross River, passing through the coastal state of Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers and Akwa Ibom before culminating in Cross River, is estimated to go up over 4 billion naira per kilometer. And as part of measures to control the abnormal price surges, which had failed to respond to the appreciation of the naira in recent weeks, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission yesterday carried out an enforcement raid at 2 supermarkets in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Adamu Abdullahi, said the exercise, targeted at reducing the high cost of food commodities nationwide, would be extended to Lagos, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Kano, Kaduna, and other cities in the coming weeks. Abdullahi added that unannounced inspections will be carried out at stores and open markets across different states, further disclosing plans to raid some open major markets today in the Federal Capital Territory to checkmate the arbitrary increase in prices of consumables by traders. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, says the federal government would pin down ways and means to deal with the problem of too much liquidity in the system fielding questions from journalists after a meeting with investors at the ongoing spring meetings of the IMF and World Bank in Washington, D.C. yesterday. It said the fiscal and monetary authorities were complementing each other to bring down inflation. The minister added that the nation's tax and GDP was too low, even lower than the African region average, and that as such, reforms were underway to streamline the number of taxes, deploy technology, and implement policies that would double tax revenue in the next 3 years. You're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, it has been 10 years of agony and pains, especially for families whose daughters were abducted in Chibok, Borno State. Now, while we remember the abduction of these schoolgirls 10 years after, which brought about the Bring Back Our Girls movement, a critical question would be the whereabouts of the remaining Chibok girls. This and more after the break. To join us again. Alright, welcome back from that break. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you are just joining us, you're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has said President Bola Tinubu embarked upon since assumption of office have started manifesting in the resurgence of the nation's economy. Alake, who stated this while hosting a delegation of the All Progressives Congress Professionals Forum led by a former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Yuguda, noted that Tinubu's progressive leadership and courage in taking difficult decisions was turning the tide, putting the economy on a strong footing. According to media reports, the minister, while highlighting federal government's effort towards infrastructural renewal, cited the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, stressing that the project, upon completion, would attract unimaginable tourism, ease movement of goods and services, amongst others. On his part, former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Yuguda, urged Nigerians and the federal government to support Alake, stressing that solid minerals have all it takes to overtake oil as the mainstay of the nation's economy. On the mission of the APC Professionals Forum, Yuguda explained that the group is the foremost group of patriotic professionals in diverse fields committed to nation building. Now, it has been 10 years of agony and pains, especially for families whose daughters were abducted in Chibok, Borno State. A memorable day. April 14, 2014 was the day 276 female students, reportedly aged 16 to 18, were kidnapped by Boko Haram from the government's girls' secondary school at the town of Chibok in Borno State. Well, some say the only offense committed by the abductees was going to school to acquire knowledge. But according to media reports, some of the girls had escaped captivity on their own. 128 regained freedom in batches over 9 years, while the whereabouts of 91 others remain unknown. Whilst we remember the abduction of these schoolgirls, which brought about the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement, a critical question would be the whereabouts of the remaining Chibok girls. To discuss this, I am being joined by a security analyst, Comrade Salihu Mahmood Dantata. He joins us live via telephone this beautiful Friday afternoon to discuss this. Well, a number of questions we'd like to get answers to. Comrade Salihu Mahmood Dantata, thank you so much for joining us on News Analysis.
Thank you very much, Effie.
Right. 10 years after, what has changed? Yes, please.
Yeah, you should go ahead.
Yes, I'm asking that after 10 years that Chibok schoolgirls were abducted, has anything changed?
We can see with recent development and increasing stage of abductions, getting
All right.
Even though Operation loss of numbers of Chibok girls were, reunited with their family, their efforts of Nigeria and who got them united and overpowered the paramilitaries.
All right, comrade, I'd like you to speak on this real quick. I mean, in connection or relation to your last words that recently some of them, were reunited, with their families. But a group in Borno State actually came out last week to lament that some of the girls that, have regained freedom are yet to be released by the Borno State government in terms of, reuniting them with their families. How would you react to that?
When you see government is not only federal government, whether it's even the local government is the government of Nigeria, it's not government of their own charge.
Right.
Whether it is the government is the government, it's a collective responsibility. And that is why you call the governors chief security officers, even though they have limited, order on security representation in their states. But whatever efforts they do, whatever initiative is all for the protection of life and property. And that is why we have government in both local government, state government, and federal. So whoever took that decision, I think they did it in the interest of Nigerians and the constitution is sworn to protect the lives and property in the country.
All right. One would say that it's been quite a hard nut, to crack. I mean, especially for the federal government in terms of ensuring the safe release of the remaining Chibok girls. I mean, it's okay for us to give the federal and state government a pat on the back for ensuring, the release of some of the girls that have already, been taken into custody, maybe for rehabilitation and whatnot. But why has it become so difficult? I mean, 10 years after, why can't we ensure the release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls? Yes, I'm asking, why has it become so difficult for the federal government to ensure the safe release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls?
Well, I don't think it has become difficult for the federal government. Don't forget, the federal government is entangled with different issues. For example, as we are facing the issue of insurgency in the northeastern part of the country, so also the northwestern part of our country, especially states like Borno, Zamfara State, Kaduna, Niger, in north-central Nigeria, and other states. So as they are finishing this, the other one is coming up. And like we always emphasize, insecurity is not peculiar to Nigeria alone. So again, we cannot say securing of that we should leave government and it alone. The federal government, to the best of my knowledge from the past Buhari administration, procured most of the things they needed to procure, from Tucano to air defense equipment and other armament for the armed forces and other security agencies in order to ensure that certain corporate are met. But sometimes, also, even among the security circles, there is what we call conspiracy. So we cannot rule out that X. Sometimes when the security agencies like the army, police, and others make efforts, there are certain informants that towards that are informing the insurgents and what have you.
Comrade, but
that Sambisa forest is one big forest that is not a small forest. So it's not like other smaller forests that you have in some parts of the country.
okay, so comrade, I'm sorry to butt you. Is it now justified that because of the terrain, Sambisa forest, is it not justified that the inability or the perceived inability of the federal government to ensure the release of remaining schoolgirls is something that we should not make a storm in a teacup over? I actually asked you this question because we know in recent times there have been abductions, and thankfully these students have been released unhurt, united with their families. You take a look at the case in Niger State, in Kaduna State, in Zamfara State, even Sokoto State. These abductees have been released. So why is it quite difficult to ensure the release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls after 10 years?
Well, the abducted students in Kaduna were joint and combined efforts. The state governor played a
Right.
And yes, and they are also the members of the armed forces and what have you. When I would just say, sometimes there are certain things in security that they don't tell me and you understand. But to be emphatic, if we are really, really serious as a people, all you not to taking this long to release these abducted children. And my reasons are not far-fetched. From the presidency, transport, channels of government to protect their family. And if it were to be a country like there are many countries like United Kingdom by now, they will have used modern devices to own that push and know the reincarnation. Look at the time of an American chief, I can't mention them, he was abducted. They took all the way from them. Only 2 months ago, and he might be that of the abductees. So that is to tell you, another thing. So that is why we need to install the structure, the architecture for efficiency. Because even on daily basis, the federal government is also spending money on the army, navy, airport, and others, and there are no results. Or is the personnel, lots of charges and initiatives that we can. So these are also questions, and that is why experts are over time and structure of the entire security architecture in order to give more meaning to why they are the security staff, because those justifications, say 10 years after, no matter how sophisticated that like this foreign, the goal of taking care to rescue those innocent children, or is it because they are children of the masses? We are there to be children of the governor, generals, AIGs, and other higher echelons that have been said. So these are questions. So just the way it is bothering you, it's also bothering us, because blood runs in us, and it wouldn't be one child that is care for. You also have to care for another person's child.
Right.
To me, in my personal opinion, I think it has taken longer than necessary to continue to stay of the children, even though I know they are not longer decent, because those children might have married some of them, and their lives might have changed.
Okay. All right, comrade. Well, just yesterday, Nuhu Ribadu came out. That's the National Security Advisor to the President. He came out to say the federal government has freed many kidnapped victims in the country without paying any ransom. Well, he also said since the coming of this administration, the country has not had any organized terrorist attacks, adding most of the roads hitherto unsafe for commuters are today secure for travelers at any time of the day. We're not going to make a storm in a teacup over the second, part of, his statement, but let's take a lead from what he said. First of all, that the federal government has freed many kidnapped victims in the country without paying ransom. Perhaps that's a step, in the right direction, and also to show, I point out to the fact that the Tinubu-led administration, is determined and very intentional in terms of nipping in the bud activities of these non-state actors. So that brings me to the next question as to what is expected of the President Tinubu-led administration, in terms of ensuring, the release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls.
Well, I think more efforts should be shared on. One, they should enhance intelligence movement of that Sambisa forest. That Sambisa forest is in the shores of Nigeria. That Sambisa forest is in the state that is making a separation. So if something of rescue becomes difficult with the security agencies, automatically you are showing that there is not justification for the huge defense budget
All right, our comrade. Well, what you just said now that I mean the insinuations of fears that some elite, perhaps in top government offices have a hand in the insecurity bedeviling the country, and perhaps they don't want it to end, probably because they have one or two things to to gain from it. It speaks volumes. But unfortunately, that is the fear of a number of Nigerians. But that's just by the way. I need a yes or no response from you to this particular question. The successful abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls 10 years ago, and the seeming delay, in ensuring the release of the remaining girls in captivity. Can we attribute that to be the reason why there have been renewed, abductions across, schools in the country?
No, we cannot, relate the two together. Not just like I told you, insecurity is not peculiar to Nigeria.
Absolutely.
These are not state actors. Sometimes they even do this abduction under the influence of alcohol, drugs, and other things. And mind you, the other increased abduction did not happen in just north-eastern countries, happen in northwestern states of Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna, and other parts of the country. Niger, not central, then Zamfara, Kaduna, and others are northwestern states. So I think it is already, and don't forget one fact, that there has been insinuation that the ordinary bandits were underrated that are now taking from northwestern states also have formed common force. Some of the plain IC like SWAT members, which have made their power to be sophisticated. If not, how can somebody that was trained for only 3 weeks know how to operate rocket propellant grenade and pitch and other artificial whatever? Look at the other bandits that brought down the helicopter and the other people that the aircraft is out. So where did they get the training? So that is to tell you that there are also presence of IC like SWAT members that have formed factions with their original trainers to also support these bandits and also collect them. So that is why the only thing we do is to enhance intelligence gathering as well as improve on surveillance, because these are likely, if you go to most of these places that are prone to security, you find out even in the outpost you can find 10 AK-47 like one of the Korea in the Kaduna state where the school children were abducted in mass. There was no operational police force that had even 2 AK-47. The only people that were found there were vigilante and also, which ought not to be. So that means at the part of security agencies also that negligence and non-presence in certain areas. There is no law that says when issues happen in places that we should reinforce and go, and afterwards you go back to the city. No, there should be established either police mobile squadron and the terrorist squadron.
All right.
Army, cantonment, Air Force base, and what are the most of these areas are protected people.
Okay. So to wrap up the conversation now, 10 years after, has humanity learned any lesson from, that incident, which unfortunately has become, a recurring decimal? Has humanity learned any lesson from that incident?
Humanity?
Yes, please.
Well, humanity has not learned anything, because even by now it was no lessons we are learned. The only thing we see, once it happens, people show their concern, empathy, and also connection. But to some extent, I will say no.
All right, Comrade Salihu Mahmoud Dantata, security analyst. Thank you so much for talking to us on News Analysis today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that's it for News Analysis, but we'll leave you with a question, dear viewer, as to, where the remaining Chibok schoolgirls are. Do want to share your thoughts with us. Drop a comment and also subscribe to the channel. We are also live, on Facebook, so either ways, YouTube or Facebook, you can always catch us, and, well, I'd like to state clearly that the views expressed by, my guest, who is a security analyst, were not influenced by Politics and Business TV. I am more of a piece of summary. I'll be back at the top of the hour with the news update. Bye for now.